Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is by popular demand. A lot of you requested on my Smart Doll Meetup video if I could please make a video with tips about meeting other local doll collectors and making friends so that you can have doll meetups and stuff like that. And so I thought about it and so many people requested it. I kind of thought about some tips that I might have. I never really thought about it before, but I'm going to share those with you guys here, and maybe this will help set you in the path to going to your own doll meetup locally. So hopefully that's the outcome we get from this. So tip number one is to attend local doll shows. There is a great website called dollshowusa.com and it lists lots of different doll shows throughout the United States. They are all over the place. Obviously, I'm in the Carolinas. I talk about that a lot. But there's shows in the middle of the country, there's shows in the Northeast, there's shows on the West Coast, so there's all kind of shows listed there. So that's one good way to make friends and find other people with common interest is to do that. Alright, so number two on my list is attend regional doll shows. So you've looked at the local shows and there's really nothing super local to you. Well, there are shows probably in your region. So what do I mean by that? You know, I'm in the Carolinas, so anything really in North Carolina, South Carolina, or Georgia, Florida might be pushing it, but you know, the Southeast region, I'm kind of there. If you're in the Midwest region, if there's something there, you know, it might be a few hours drive or you might even need an overnight stay at a hotel. But if you attend a regional doll show, again, you can find those on dollshowusa.com. That's a great place to meet up with people that are more local to you that are also collectors. And here's a tip I have for that. If you go to one of these things, print yourself out some cards. So I have some cards, and of course yours don't have to be nearly this fancy, but I have some cards that have all my contact information on them front and back. And if you print that stuff out and you take it with you, then you can hand those to other people while you're there. You can kind of, you know, say, hey, I'm interested in this kind of doll, and you know, would you be interested in a meetup? So that's one way to do it. My third tip would be to go to a national convention. So there are a lot of great national doll conventions. There is Modern Doll Collectors Convention, which of course I'm a part of that, and that is somewhere different every year. It travels all around the country. This year's in Louisville, Kentucky. Next year is in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. But the thing about that is that, you know, people are coming in from all over, and you may actually bump into somebody from your home state. I've actually met several people, several doll collectors from the Carolinas at Modern Doll Collectors Convention, even though we weren't in the Carolinas, but you all get together in one place, you have similar interests, and you know, when you sit and you talk with people, oh, where are you from? Where are you from? That kind of thing, and that's how these things happen. There's also the Austin BJDC in Austin, Texas. That's kind of more centralized in the country, and lots of people come in there. There's the Pacific Northwest BJDC out in Seattle. That's a national convention. Of course, you get more West Coast folks there because it is on the West Coast, but I've been to that myself, and I'm an East Coast person. There's the International Doll and Teddy Show, which is traditionally held in Orlando, Florida. That was canceled this year. I don't know if they're coming back next year because they haven't had any information on their website about it, but that is one to look for as well. Now, they are more heavily leaning towards reborn dolls, but in the past there have been some BJD artists there. So if you're interested in that, that's a good one to go to. There's the UFDC convention. The UFDC convention this year is in Baltimore, Maryland, and they have all kinds of dolls at UFDC. I mean, that runs the gamut of types of dolls that are out there because UFDC is the United Federation of Doll Clubs. So that's another convention you could go to. There's Dolls Party in Anaheim, which is held by Volks. So there is a Volks doll party that they have in the United States. States in Anaheim. Now, of course, a lot of these things have been postponed or canceled for this year, but as this stuff starts to open back up, like Modern Doll is happening this year, BJDC is happening this year, PNW is doing a luncheon, I think on November 6th, I want to say I read. There's also Barbie conventions. Integrity Dolls do conventions. There are so many different types of conventions out there. I think I saw a Jenny convention for Jenny dolls. I saw a Madame Alexander convention. And even if those aren't the specific types of dolls you collect, you know, going to those things, a lot of people are like me. They have wide interest in different types of dolls. And so you may meet somebody from your home state that you can actually, you know, talk to about dolls and have doll meetups with and have those sorts of interactions. So my fourth tip is to attend doll adjacent shows or conventions. So what do I mean by doll adjacent? A lot of folks who are in the doll collecting hobby also like other kinds of fandoms and conventions. So a big one is anime conventions, especially those of you who love the smart dolls like I do. You will be right at home at an anime convention. As a matter of fact, there's a NecoCon, which is in Virginia, and one of the members of our Carolina Smart Doll Meet, he's actually doing a panel there about smart dolls. So, you know, there's going to be some doll information there. And I've also seen a lot of other anime cons do doll things. There's Dragon Con in Atlanta. Dragon Con in Atlanta, I've seen pictures. I've never been to it, even though Atlanta's kind of close to me. I'd love to go one year. But I've seen pictures of people with dolls, and I've seen people chatter about doing a BJD meetup at Dragon Con. So I know that it happens, and that's one way you could do that. Just going to regular Comic-Con, and now that's a feat. That's something I don't think I could manage that level of crowd, but if you could, they always have dolls there. Different booths have different collectible dolls and stuff like that, and so, you know, that's a place you might meet somebody. Or toy shows. You can also Google, you know, toy shows. And so you might have a show. Maybe your area can't support a doll show on its own, but maybe they have a toy show. And so if they're having a toy show, you've got vintage toys. Well, dolls are toys, and so you might be able to meet some folks that way. Again, big tip when you're going to these shows is just print out some little cards with your social media stuff on it that you can hand out to people there if you're wanting to connect with folks to meet up with later. Now, another tip that I have, tip number 5, is join UFDC. Now, UFDC, like I said earlier, is the United Federation of Doll Clubs. Full disclosure, I am not a member of UFDC. I was at one point in time. I let my membership lapse because I wasn't attending the meetings, and I have a lot of doll friends in this area, but it's a great organization, and you know, it does a lot of good for the doll collecting community. I believe it's $40 a year to join. It might be $49. I can't remember exactly, but you get a beautiful quarterly magazine for being a UFDC member, and they have regional meets, and they have regional activities and events. So you'll be put into a region when you join. You can see that here on the map, and then within that region, they will organize different club meetups and things like that. And so that's the opportunity for you to meet people local to you that also collect dolls, is just by joining that club, because automatically by joining your regional club director, I might be getting the wording wrong, like the way they call it, because I can't remember exactly, but they will send you letters and invite you to come to things and stuff like that. So that's another way that you can meet folks, meet some doll friends in your area. So tip number 6 that I have for you guys is search Facebook for groups in your area. I just went on Facebook. I was like, what's in the middle of the country? Okay, Kansas is in the middle of the country, because I wanted to do something that wasn't Carolina, because I'm in a lot of Carolina groups. So I searched Kansas dolls, and I found a group for the Kansas Doll Show in Wichita, which is in September. So, and you can join that group. It has 2,000 members. So you can join a group like that, and then in that group, you know, you guys can plan, like if you're a smart doll collector, for example, and you want to meet other smart doll collectors at this doll show. This is a great opportunity to do this. You guys plan a lunch. So you like get together, you know, on Facebook, you know, start a group chat or start a little side group like Kansas Smart Doll Meet or something like that, and then you guys discuss, you know, we're all going to go to this doll show in the morning, and then we're all going to go, you know, to a restaurant afterwards where we can sit with our dolls and we can talk and we can, you know, enjoy each other's company. And if you get a big enough crowd, you know, eventually you can do kind of what we did with the Carolina Smart Doll Meetup, is different people can start hosting it at their houses and, you know, just have a really good time with each other. And so that, you know, that's one of the main ways that I've found people and you know, met people here in my state is through different Facebook groups, just finding out that people were in the Carolinas. So that is my tip number 6. And just go on there and just search for your area. It doesn't, you know, and a lot of my stuff that I'm talking about is central to the United States, but this could also be applicable to you wherever you live. So, you know, look at your area where you live, kind of type those things in. So UFDC, I don't believe is international. I just want to kind of say that, but look into your own country and see if there are any doll clubs or things like that, especially on Facebook, because that is really an awesome resource for doll collecting. If you don't use Facebook, I can't really help you on that regard. You know, it is a valuable tool. I know that it can be frustrating sometimes, but it is a valuable tool if you're trying to connect with people that are also doll collectors. Okay, my next tip for you guys is to share on social media frequently. I have met people before because they see my social media posts and they're like, hey, I see you live near Charlotte. Yes, I do. You want to meet up and have lunch? I would love to do that. So I've met a lot of people in real life in the Charlotte area because I share a lot. People may say I'm an oversharer, but I make no secret about that I live in the greater Charlotte area in the Carolinas. And so I'll post, you can see like these 2 Instagram posts. One of them says, you know, I'm eating a Southern Black's barbecue. And so people from this area will know, hey, if she's eating Black's barbecue, she's probably from my area. And then I also posted one and I tagged the location as Crabtree Falls, North Carolina. So if there's somebody else in the Carolinas that sees that, they can reach out and say, hey, I'm also in such and such. You want to meet up and have lunch? So I would say share a lot on social media. Share pictures, tag your location. I wouldn't share my exact address, of course, but if there's certain landmarks or just even restaurants, like I shared this one restaurant meal, that's something that you can tag in your Instagram post or in your Facebook post, or check in on your Facebook post if you know how to use that feature. And then people will see, and they may, when they see your picture, they'll be like, hey, that person is also in my area, and maybe we could meet up and go to that restaurant, or, you know, stuff like that. So I really recommend just sharing a lot, because the more you share your stuff and yourself out there, the more eyes get on you. So that is that's a big tip for me. I think that's a big one. Number 8 is take a doll with you everywhere. So if you're going somewhere, take a doll, take a picture. Somebody there may be a doll collector and may approach you. Especially going back to the shows that we were talking about in the beginning, the local, regional, and national shows and conventions. Take your favorite type of doll there with you, because let's say, for example, you're going to a local doll show and you take a smart doll with you. By the way, she got her own body. I could not wait anymore for her to be headless or bodiless. I couldn't do the floating head thing. Anyway, I got a body. So let's say you're really big into smart dolls, and a lot of you who asked for this watch my smart doll video, so a lot of this is about smart dolls. But if you take a smart doll with you to a local doll show, they're probably not going to have any smart dolls there for sale, but another smart doll collector may see you there with your smart doll. That's something similar happened to me. I went to a local show and I saw a lady there holding a Lily Cat BJD. Now this show was not a BJD show, it was just a doll show, but I struck up a conversation with her. I was like, hey, that's a lily cat. And, you know, we were able to have that conversation because I'm also into BJDs. So make sure if you're going to one of those shows, take the kind of doll that you want to attract that type of collector, if that makes sense. I, of course, collect a little bit of everything, so it doesn't matter to me what kind. I'm friends with all sorts of different doll collectors. But if you're really like, you know, or even let's say not necessarily that you're going to meet another smart doll collector, but this will open the conversation gates because people will see and say, oh, I love that doll, because everybody loves smart dolls. Oh, I love that doll. Can you tell me more? You can strike up a conversation. If you brought your little printed cards, you hand those out, and then you guys make a connection. And, you know, in the future, you can have lunches, doll meets, etc. It takes a while to grow like a big group like that, but you can do it. It is very possible to do. So I would just say take a doll with you everywhere. I took my dolls out on the beach. I had 4 or 5 different strangers come talk to me about them. Now, none of them turned out to be doll collectors, but imagine if they were. Imagine if they were local doll collectors and they saw me with a smart doll and they're like, hey, you know, I like those too. Instant friendship, pretty much. So that's number 8. Number 9 is if you see a collector, don't be shy. So if you see somebody with a doll out there, out in the wild, you see them, don't be shy to go talk to them. That's a lot easier said than done. I understand that. But if somebody's carrying their doll around with them, 9 times out of 10, they would love to be approached about that doll, and they would love for you to ask questions. I love when people ask me questions about my smart dolls or any other doll that I have out in public for that matter. So most people will really accept that. Now, if they kind of shut down and they don't want to talk to you, definitely be respectful and walk away, because for some folks, doll collecting is a very personal thing and they don't want to be involved in big groups. I have met a few collectors like that over my years that they were not interested in being friends with other doll collectors, and so you just have to respect that that's their personal wishes and you don't want to press those people. But, you know, if you see a doll in the wild, go have the conversation. Again, easier said than done, I know, but the doll is the icebreaker. You don't have to think of something to say. You can just walk up and say, hey, I see that doll, I like it, blah, 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 blah. There goes your conversation. This picture that you see on the slide here is I met Mobenjo at, this was actually at a show in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, which is a regional show for me because I'm in the Carolinas, but the haul to Virginia is not too bad. And I just, like, I met her and I was so excited about it, and like, I love your clothes and I love your Instagram posts and blah, 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 blah. And so, you know, you just have to do that. Now, I don't get to hang out with her regularly because she lives a long way away. I see her at the shows, but it's cool just to even connect with somebody like that and be able to have those conversations. So that's an example of, you know, don't be shy, really put yourself out there. So that's number 10, is don't be afraid to put yourself out there. So, you know, you may get rejected, and that's one of the hardest things. Is it is very hard to be rejected. I know that. It's terrible. But imagine, you know, if you're talking with a doll person, 9 times out of 10, again, they're not going to reject you. You're going to have those people that are very personal with their collections. Those are the types of rejections you'll get, but you have to understand that that's about that person. It's not about you as, you know, a fellow collector. It's because their doll collecting is very personal to them and they don't want to be public about it, and they really don't want to be friends with other collectors. So put yourself out there. Message people that you see that are in your area. So I'm going to give you guys 3 examples of 3 local friends that I have that are doll collectors that I met through my wonderful world of collecting. My friend Diana, she and I have been friends for over 10 years now, and we met because she was reading my blog about Nancy Famosa. And in one of my blog posts, I mentioned that I lived in the Carolinas, and she messaged me and we found out that we live fairly close to each other. We went to lunch at the mall one day, we had a great time, and we have been, you know, she's been one of my best friends ever since. And it's just cool because she found me because I was sharing about my location. I was sharing about dolls, and that's where it comes back to, you know, share a lot. Share, you know, on your social media, share pictures about things. And then if you see other people sharing, you know, if you see somebody sharing stuff, you love their collection, and you realize, hey, this person's in my state, or this person only lives a couple of hours from me, send a respectful message and say, hey, I see that you live close by. Would you ever be interested in meeting up for lunch sometimes and chatting dolls? And so that's one way. What's the worst they can say? No? So, okay, so what? They said no. So, you know, that's fine. And that's the thing. You have to not be afraid to put yourself out there and kind of do that. The second friend I'm going to tell you guys about, which you've seen a lot on my YouTube channel. Diana's actually been on my YouTube channel a few times too. My friend Shira, who lives just 15 minutes down the street from me, we were both in the Nikki Britt fan collectors group. We still are. And she was posting pictures, and I realized, hey, you live in this area. And we got to talking and found out we live really close to each other. And so it's like, hey, you want to do a doll day, have lunch, and play dolls? And it's like, yeah. And so the rest is history. You know, she's been, you know, we've been doing doll stuff ever since. We talk every single day. And so that's another way that you can meet folks, again, because we were sharing things on social media. The third friend that I have that I want to tell you about, her name is Audrey. She lives here in my actual little old town in South Carolina, and the way I found her is that we were both participating in a traveling doll project. And when you do a traveling project like that, they line people up who are geographically close to each other so that you can mail it and it doesn't have to go too far. Well, she was in my town. It wasn't even like I needed to mail it 3 hours away. She lives 15 minutes away from me. So we arranged a meetup. I handed off the doll. We've been friends ever since. We've hung out a couple times, not a ton because we met during the whole COVID situation, but we've actually been planning something for this summer where we can hang out again and just chat dolls. And she's a BJD collector. And so that's another thing you could do. I didn't put this tip on the list, but you can participate in traveling doll projects. You guys might have seen on my Instagram, I participated in the traveling backpack project. I participated in that traveling doll project done by the artist My Meadow. So you can kind of look around for stuff like that. So those are ways that I've made friends through the internet, basically, but also going to doll shows and things like that. I have a lot of friends that I've met at Modern Doll Collectors Convention. Now, most of them I don't hang out with locally because most of them aren't super local, but just going to a convention like that, a convention as opposed to a show gives you a lot more opportunity to really get to know people because you're there for several days and you're sitting together and having lunches and dinner together. So you make friends really easily that way. But anyway, the last thing I just want to kind of tell you about is how you organize the stuff. So the Carolina Smart Doll Meetup was organized because we have a Carolina Smart Doll group. And the host, you know, when everybody decides on a weekend that's good, they kind of take a poll, you know, what weekend's good, when you guys want to meet up. And then, you know, once the people decide what weekend is good, then we just kind of, you know, RSVP through Facebook, and then you show up. And so that's worked really well. I'm also in a BJD club online that does that. I actually have never been to one of their meets before because the timing is always wrong for me. One of these days I'm going to make it. But organizing a meet on Facebook is very easy to do, so you can just organize it. And if you want to start your own group for your regional location, you know, you want to start the, I don't know, Midwestern BJD group. There probably already is one. I don't know because I'm not in the Midwest, but you can start that and then you can plan meetups in those sort of more regional groups. And that's what happened with our Smart Doll meetup is we're in that Carolina Smart Doll club. That's what the group is. I think that's what the group is called, and it's just for folks in our region. And then so that's how the meetups get planned. So that's how I would recommend going about planning a meetup. Pick a place. It doesn't have to be somebody's house. You know, you can find some public places to do it, like a public park or a restaurant if your group's small enough. You know, sometimes these groups start very small, and like I said, they get really big. So anyway, I feel like I've said a lot. I feel like that was very long-winded, but I hope I've given you guys some really good tips about meeting doll friends local to you. You know, all I can really, the main thing is just share, share, share. And when you see people sharing photos and they're in your area, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and ask, hey, would you like to meet up for lunch or for a coffee or whatever sometimes in chat dolls, and bring your doll with you. You know, I bring dolls to so many things. Shira and I went to a restaurant and we brought our dolls and put them on the table. It was so much fun. We got so much enjoyment out of it. So I just really highly recommend doing that. The Smart Doll meetup was amazing. There were so many people there and I got to see so many different types of dolls. Everybody was really nice. They were all really passionate about dolls and smart dolls like I am, and so it was just a really great experience. So I really hope these tips help you guys. If it works out for you, you know, come back here and leave me a comment that you were able to meet a doll friend in person, because that would just be so exciting for me to know, because I want everybody to be able to have the type of friendships that I have, because I really enjoy them. They make my life very rich, and I want that for all of you guys as well. So if this video was helpful, please give it a big thumbs up. I want to say a huge thank you for watching. Thanks to those of you who requested this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. I want to say a huge thank you to my patrons: Lindsay S., Leah W., Jenny C., Doreen Z., Janice H., Mercedes W., Angela E., Cindy K., Bear Sunflower, Diane B., Kelly L., Cindy L. Your support means so much to me and helps me continue bringing you great dolly content. For more details on how you can become a patron, please check the link in the video description. Thank you.